Lie. Alright, you lied. Okay. Damn, look at this. Sure. Drink some coffee?
A little bit. I got a stuffy nose, so I gotta like drink something warm, kind of like help it out.
You need to use that saline thing.
What?
The saline.
No what? What's up, everybody? Tonight is a night a lot of guys have been asking for. I'll put my hat just to represent. Every time we talk striper, you know, gotta have the hat. Got a couple hats left. If you guys want one to support the channel, it is $35 ship for the hats. Yeah, $35 ship for the hat. Like I said, it goes directly to help buy gas and that type of stuff, so we can continue to do this. But because when we do this, it's not always free. It's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit of money, to be honest. So what's the topic for tonight, Will?
The topic for tonight is we are going to not really review, but show us the gear that the gear that we use.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that is the topic.
And you can always buy a mug too. Help the channel out. Because drinking coffee is a part of life.
Man, yeah, a lot of stuff. Look,
I got a couple things.
there's a lot of stuff over here.
Mm-hmm.
Only brought 2 rods.
I mean, I only got 2 also, but I got like, you could fish just about anything. So, so guys, we're going to give it like 5 minutes just for other guys to come on so they don't feel like they're missing out. Okay, so for the next 5 minutes, we're 2 minutes in, so the next 5 minutes, whatever random question you got, toss them in the comment section and we will answer them. But after that, it's all stripers. Okay, so like we said, today we're talking just equipment, striper equipment. So we get this question too often, so that's why we're gonna try to cover as much as we can for the next hour and a half, about hour and a half, 2 hours if the questions are real good, and we're gonna cover what gear we like for stripers, white bass, and hybrids. Okay, and this is what, land based only. Or do you want to go into the boat too?
I mean, I only brought my walking setup,
Right,
so my everyday.
Yeah, so tonight is land based only. Okay, we'll do boat later. Okay,
the boat has all those could go in the boat.
Yeah, right.
Not all of them, most of those.
I would say half of those go in the boat.
Yeah.
But tonight, land based only. The gear for land based.
Spinning reel for Sandy's, anything around that $60 to $100 range is really good. The
Fluger? The Fluger company makes good reels.
Oh, I didn't bring my Fluger. I
brought one somewhere.
Brought my big Fluger. I'll show you guys in a bit. That's my all around Fluger.
Fluger's behind you. Over there. The mini one over there.
Yeah.
The right there.
Yeah, the big one's right there.
Yeah. We'll show you the Flugers. It's kind of discontinued, but basically it's the same reel, and they just repainted it or something. But that's it right there.
I mean, this one's super old.
It's super old. It's got some moss growing on it. But I used to fish that all the time for white bass. It's ultralight.
The Fluger Presidential.
It's President. Yeah. I just keep calling it Presidential, but it's just called the President.
Yeah, the President one. It's only like a $55 reel,
yeah.
$65 reel.
Yeah, it's pretty inexpensive, but it is hard to beat at that price. Because Shimanos can't touch it, diawas can't touch it. I still believe that. I've had that reel for probably like 10 years now. Probably like 10 years. We've been fishing those reels for 10 years. And a lot of the guys that we've recommended that reel to, they've come back and said, you know what, you're right. That $50 mark, you can't touch it. And plus, it's just white bass. You know, you don't need super good gear to go white bass. White bass and crappie are kind of in the same realm, right? Where they don't even have any power to fight back really, so you don't need the super smooth power. You don't need the super smooth drags, nothing like that. So any combination like that is going to be fine. 25 size and 3,000 size. So it's like 25. I think the President's called 25 and 30. I think Shimano is 25. 55?
Yeah, they come in at 50.
Right, that's a big reel.
I think they come in 20, 30, 25, 35, and 55.
But for crappies and white bass, probably 25, 30 size.
Yeah.
Smaller sizes.
Yeah,
I like a striper. He wants to step it up to maybe 4.
I mean, that fluger is like almost like a heavy dude. I mean, that reel is heavy.
Yeah, it's a
but
heavy reel.
It's pretty beefy.
That's pretty good. I've got through like 2 of them already. I know you really messed on that because that's just hard. That's hard fishing though. For the most part, most people that reel, it'll last you a couple years. You should be more than happy with it.
Any quick snap swivel that haven't failed you guys? Quick snap. We don't really run a lot of quick snap. We run a lot more of those technical angler clips.
That's a quick snap in a way. That's in that category. We don't run it as much. 47 runs it all the time. And yeah, they do fail, but I think you have to just go to the bigger size because there's multiple sizes. They're rated like 50, 120 pounds, 300 pounds. Yeah. So if you're breaking off on the 50, which is a small one, we usually don't run the small one. At least when we're throwing topwaters that are, the long range stuff that we'll show you in a bit. When it comes to the longer range topwaters, when your baits are at least 5 inches or bigger, we always run the 150 or 120 pound clip. I wish I had one around me, but just by the way they designed it, the odds of it opening up is a lot less. It's a lot less than like the other traditional clips. So, because everything else, it kind of has to pinch onto itself or something. This thing, it doesn't rely on that. It just kind of works. Okay. Yeah, you got 11 guys. You got 9 thumbs up. So everybody, give us a thumbs up. We need to get the thumbs up going because we need a lot more guys in this room so we can talk stripers. And it's gonna be stripers every Thursday night until we get tired of stripers. So if you guys there it is, Angler's clip.
Like that.
Yeah. I think Amazon carries it, eBay, everybody. Most of the shops carry it. Most of the online stores carry it. I don't know if Tackle Warehouse carries it, but I know Tackle Direct carries it.
Mm-hmm.
J&H, they all carry it. So it's a clip that I think it's the fastest clip out there too.
Yeah,
it's the fastest one too.
You tie it to the one side that has the 90. You tie on that side, and then one that has an angle. You could just slide out for another one.
Yep.
Yeah, that best one. I'm pretty sure if you throw glide bait, you could use that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people put snaps on their glide bait, but I think you just go with that Tackle English clip.
Yep.
And you don't really need to throw the big one. You prefer to throw the small one.
Or this too. Like, if you have a Castmaster and you instead of putting a ring on it, you could probably just go straight to the clip. Because I think the guys from DTF kind of showed me that too. Yeah, the clip does a lot of things. It's real fast. It takes maybe half a second, not even. Just unclip it and reclip another one. It's super quick.
Yes.
Has it ever failed on us? Yes, it has. Okay. You snapped 2 off of a frog one time?
I probably snapped 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Just think about it like when the fish grabs it, if it's in the wrong like angle, and you set the hook, it will basically pry and bend it and it just snaps.
Well, that's also the first generation. I haven't been throwing the latest generation.
Right. That's just experience we've had.
If you think about it, right, you have 65-pound braid on your frog rod, and you tie it to this clip that you never retied for like a season. Something's gonna give. The braid line's getting frayed already, and then you're throwing these frog and you're setting the hook every single time to the moon, and your extra heavy like frog rod is gonna break something. So, when you start seeing that clip open, it will open up just a little bit. You'll see it. That's when you gotta replace it.
Well,
yeah, and you buy a little pack of 25. One will probably last you like 10 trips before you change one out. So.
All right. So did we talk rods yet? No, we're getting to that. I think tonight we're gonna start with reels. We'll talk rods, and then we'll talk line, and then we'll talk baits last. So okay.
little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. But reels, since somebody already asked about reels, we're going to start with stripers, and then we'll cover white bass too. And then hybrids are kind of like in the middle. So depending on what you kind of hybrid size you're dealing with,
Yeah.
you might actually get a striper reel, or you might be okay with just like we just talked about, a president white bass reel. For the first 5 years we've been down here in Oklahoma, we didn't even have any striper gear. It's all white bass gear, and we were catching hybrids pretty good too. But it got to the point where it was like right at the very limits of the white bass gear, and then we started buying more. I wouldn't say more expensive, but more beefier gear. Your target stripers over hybrids. Have you ever fished above Truman Dam for hybrids? Truman Dam? No, I've never actually been to Truman Lake. I should though, because I've qualified for 2 national championships there, but I've never been there. Of course, that's for bass kayak fishing. I've never been there. Anyways, reels. We'll go over your reels first.
Yeah, I only brought 2, so
He kept this pretty simple. So he only brought 2.
let me cut this off with my teeth. It's fresh.
That's a fluker.
Yeah, this is a fluke.
Yeah.
So let me take it off.
Yeah, take it off. Yeah, that's why I was thinking about taking mine off too.
What happens when you bass fish too long? You go to these one piece,
Dang 1-piece rods.
long one piece rod. Alright. So we were talking about that presidential earlier, or the president. This is the Supreme, and it's all beat up.
It's all beat up.
I mean, this is pretty much the one step up from the president, but I feel like it's almost no difference.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at a this is like $99.99 reel compared to a like
Maybe 79?
79.
Size?
Yeah. This is a 50 size. I like running the 50 size. I mean, this is a big reel. I mean, it's almost like it's a big freshwater reel or a really small saltwater reel. But I mean, it's not built for saltwater, but it's a 50 size, which is equivalent to a lot of the like Shimano. They probably like a 4,000 size.
4,000 size, yeah.
Yeah.
All these companies
All these
all their sizes don't hop over brands, okay? So we're going to throw out a lot of numbers tonight, and you might have to go back and rewind some of the stuff. No, I got a bunch of Shimanos right there. Got that. I got the Stratix over there.
I mean, it's not bad.
For the most part, if you're not fishing a tournament, if you don't care too much about how smooth the reel is, if you don't care about bragging rights, right there.
Yeah.
Okay? That'll get it done. Okay. Get it done.
I like the big reels so I can winch those fish in faster because every single time you turn like that it gives you more. I mean, pulls more line, and then you could turn bigger fish. I mean, I just caught a hybrid on this the other day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We should have released that video already, but we didn't yet. Yeah. It was a good size one. It was like a 24 inch. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just caught one on that
on
one.
a crappie jig.
On a crappie jig. Yeah. All right. And then the other one that I run is this guy.
Tell me about that, because I think that's one of the reasons why everybody wants to see. Alright, so as we're undoing some reels, these are super high end reels, okay? Because we just told you not to spend a lot of money, but we're about to break the bank.
So only available in Europe, in Japan.
That's a European reel. Yeah.
So it's a surf. It's a long spool, super long spool. So you can like super long spool for long casting.
It's ridiculous. These reels are designed for casting over 100 yards. Like every time, if you don't even have to whip it hard, it'll go over 100 yards.
So this is called a diawa Bazier reel, tournament surf reel. And he bought it for me for my birthday or for Christmas.
That was like what, 7 years ago?
A long time ago. This thing's been collecting dust. So the reason why, at the time, I wanted a long spool, like a long neck reel.
Yeah.
And
because nobody has one, and there's like rumors of these reels casting so far. Like, you listen to the stories and it convinces you to go buy one.
yeah, so we did, at the time, you didn't have YouTube that teaches you anything.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just getting the game, and you're like searching up, like, what reels is it? Like, is this brand? And you look through all their saltwater reels, and then you go look through all the European carp reel, because usually carp reel has long spool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. That's a carp reel from Europe. Europe, their favorite fish to catch in Europe is carp.
Yeah.
So for those guys, it's a weird world. They have boats too, but they don't want to fish on a boat. So they'll get on a boat, move all the way across the lake, drop the bait, come all the way back to this side of the lake and fish, right? If you have a boat. If you don't, then you have to cast really, really far. If you look up Ultimate Tournament Diawa Basia, Basia, you'll see that reel. And there's like 50 different versions of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got like a QD version.
Yeah, this is the like a $700 reel.
It's a cute. It's at a time it was dubbed the QD 45. Okay.
So the reason why I stick with Daiwa too at the time was they had a QD system. So this is like bait runner mode pretty much. Mm-hmm. So a lot of guys for carp fishing, what they do is they'll open this half. It's like a half a turn. So right. So this is tight, right? You know how hard that is?
It's almost like that.
Half a turn is like loose.
Yeah. So when you turn this, it's very positive feedback.
Yeah.
You get like 10 clicks and it goes from lock to free spool.
Yeah. So I mean, you turn another one, there's like free spooling.
Yeah. It's compared to this, you're like,
instead of a bait runner, most guys carp fishing they use that QD system. They let their cart run, and then before they set the hook, they just grab the rod, tighten this, and then set the hook.
Right.
Or hold it, set the hook, let the fish run, whatever, and then tighten it. You know, so, and then what I like most about these diagonal reels is when you're finding a big fish, and your drag is like too tight, and you know, like if something's gonna break, like the hook's gonna pop out, or your rod's about to break, you could just like reach over and just give it half a turn or a quarter turn,
and it's almost free spool at that point.
Yeah, and let the fish run. Palm it. Yeah, and then palm it, or then adjust it tighter as the fish get tired, and then you could pump the fish back in, and then tighten it as you're finding it. Yep. That's one of the reasons why I got this reel.
This is like early stage stuff. So we were the first ones to import a reel, at least amongst all of our friends, right? That was probably the first one. Like, I literally bought it from Japan and he shipped over. Used too. We didn't even buy it brand. We couldn't even afford it brand new, right? It was a $700 to $1,000 rod, a reel, depending on what configuration you got it in. It was used. I still paid like $425 back in 2010, around that time, 2012. Yeah. I still paid $400 for it. So it's an expensive.
They still go for a lot.
Yeah, you could probably still sell it for $300. Yeah, it's a ridiculous price tag thing. All right, but yeah, that reel caught you your 40-inch, didn't it?
No, my cheaper reel caught me my 40. See, and then it broke, and then I went over to this one. Yeah, because at the time I had two setups.
Right,
I had
the Prevail, right?
The emblem.
My
emblem. I ran the emblem 10-6 rod on my emblem pro reel.
Yeah, emblem pro.
Yeah, and then the emblem pro reel gave out. Because I was wanting the wind cast, right? You bought the wind cast,
I did,
but the emblem and the wind cast is pretty much the same.
Yes, I did.
So I took the QD from the wind cast and put it on my emblem.
That's right.
Because the QD is just pretty much the top here.
Yeah, it's just the
top cap,
drag cap. Yeah.
Yep. So, and I caught my big 40 on it, and then something messed up. All right, that's probably why.
Was you still making that clicking sound?
No, kind of.
You know what? I don't know. For a while, it was making weird clicking sound.
Yeah, I think I oiled it one more time. Oiled it right.
All right. Yeah, so that's super JDM, like European, right? You could buy that here now, I think, but it's marketed under a different company. I think it's Somebody like licensed it, and it's not sold under diawa. Of course, that's a magnesium frame. Okay, that's what makes it expensive.
Yeah.
It's a magnesium frame. It's a big reel, but only weighs what, 20 ounces?
Yeah,
It's really light. So that's why it's so expensive. It's just a straight up raw material, right? I think Penn is the one that makes it. Penn licensed that design, and they have one that looks just like it. I think it's only like $180, something like that, like brand new. But it's using more traditional like aluminum material, so it might weigh 30 ounces if you get it from Penn. All right. So another high end reel. We're gonna go through a lot of high end reels tonight, even though we started with a real cheap one. Okay. Another high end reel. So this is the Shimano Aero Technium 10,000 size. Its claim to fame is this super slow like oscillation here. See how the reel will let the spool, it barely moves, even though I'm reeling it. It should have went up and down like 4 or 5 times already, but still like barely just going. It's one of those weird things. Once again, it's like a carp technology type thing. This one has it. This one was probably the first reel to really push that. And then they went to the XSC Ultra, which is basically like a watered down version of this reel. But this one, I think I still paid like $650 for it, and it was all on sale for $650. I think the Ultra was like $300, something like that. Yeah, yeah, but super light again. It's magnesium frame, so all these big reels, it feels like if you don't get them in magnesium frame, it's just gonna be way too heavy. Okay, so once again, this bull is ridiculous, too. Like, okay, give you an example, right? This is a traditional reel, and this is what we're sporting. Okay, it's literally twice. It's literally twice the tallness, almost twice the size too.
Because when you throw a long range, right?
Yeah.
The smaller the spool, your line's gonna rub on it more. You want the less contact possible, so it flies it farther.
Right. I feel like that helps.
So the bigger the spool, your line's actually coming out like. As it's coming out, it's not rubbing and going around in a circle faster than normal. It just makes one round is equal to 2 of those, so it'll go farther. And then when your line goes towards the back, it's not really even touching this right here.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And a lot of these big reels, they hold a lot of line too. I think I could put I think it's 300 yards, like perfect every time. 300 yards of a 50-pound max quattro. It just like you take the entire spool, just put 300 onto it. It's perfect. Now, those are pretty exotic. This one's pretty exotic too, but this is probably more in the realm of what everybody should get for a striper reel. Now, don't get me wrong, this one's super expensive. We got it for a real good deal, but this is the Daiwa Certate. No longer made, but this is a $500 reel. $550 at the time retail. We bought them for $260. It's a 3,500 size. So this is what I kind of wanted a 47 to be here tonight because he's the one that like basically throws this all the time. This, and he throws the Sotega, which is also another $700 reel. And he really likes these. He doesn't. He's the exception to the group. He doesn't like the long reel stuff. He did, but then he's gone back to these. And his opinion is if you match your equipment to your reel, to your rod, to the bait and everything, you can still cast really, really far. Now, the key to that is his trick is make everything as light as possible. Because if you have too much weight on the reel or the rod, then I think you kind of waste the energy moving the rod instead of using that same energy to whip and transfer it to the lure. And the lure goes pretty far. Because he casts pretty far. Like with his setup, because he's got an identical reel. This is like I said, this is a Daiwa Certate HD 3500 and the super fast speed too. Cameras aren't really focusing tonight, but this sucker is like mag sealed. It's got tons of power on it. Like if you really like, if you're older, you can afford these reels. Definitely buy them. Let's put it that way because the drags are so smooth. The power is ridiculous. Like if you really want to pull those spoonbills in, these will definitely do it. Like it doesn't even hesitate; it'll pull them in. But just gotta understand that even though they're so smooth, there's still a medium frame. So when you lock this drag down and you crank on it, eventually something's gonna move. Okay, so these are also like exotic materials. I think this is that Daiwa Zion material or Xeon materials, mag sealed, so water can't even get in the reel. It's got
It's
their
thing maxi.
yeah 6-2 gear ratio, which is real fast. I think it pulls like 37 or 40 inches per turn, and it's just a beefy reel. It's just a real beefy reel. Like 30-inch striper and below on that is absolutely no problem.
That answers John's question.
What's John asking?
Is the Saltis a good starting wheel for the Daiwa?
Yeah, Salties is pretty good. We got a couple guys running Salties. They're pretty good. Because the Saltis is basically just this reel. It's basically this reel, but without all the advanced features. I think it's even Zion too, but I don't think it's magnesium frame. I believe this one might be magnesium frame, and there's no mag seal on the Saltis. These are mag sealed.
But Daiwa will give those out like 1 or 2 years down the line. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna get the mag seal down to the Saltis," or they'll just keep pushing down the line.
Yep.
But they'll cap it at a certain point, so you have to buy that model to get that special feature. That's what Daiwa does.
Okay. So reels.
You got more reels?
A
A budget reel over here?
more budget reel. Here, give me that one. This one. This is my first reel. I actually bought this from Bass Pro. This is before we got into all the JDM stuff, right? So I think some of the guys will appreciate this. This is an easy reel to pick up. This is sold everywhere, and nobody wants to buy it. Okay, so this is just a basic Stratic, Shimano Stratic, the 8,000 size with a giant power knob on it. This thing has a lot of power also. The only downside is like we were saying before, it doesn't cast very far. I don't know what it is, but it just like this thing could never outcast this thing. It just couldn't do it. That's why we haven't been using it for many years. And on top of that, these are fairly similar too, but for some reason, this one casts better. I don't know what it is.
It's also the new technology too.
Yeah, so it's probably new technology, how the line lays on the spool, how it's lined in there. But this one has done its fair share of damage. Don't get me wrong. Back in the days going to Sooner Lake, casting a bunch of big top waters, this thing, it holds its own. It's still a good reel. I just don't use it no more because all the other fancy stuff we have. Mm-hmm. But this one was, I think it was $220. It might be cheaper than that. Maybe one. I mean, they don't even make it no more, I'm pretty sure. And this stuff is heavy. It's like, I think this is like, this is lighter than this. Believe it or not.
It's beefy.
Yeah. So you look at the size, right? You're like, that's gotta be heavy. Nope, this one's lighter than this one. But this one's it's a beefy drag. I think it's like 28 pounds of drag, something like that. But don't go fishing GTs with it. It won't hold up a GT, but for striper, it's pretty good. For something like that, that's really good. Like that's how I started, and you'll be satisfied with it. It's a little on the heavy side, like I said. I think it's like 27 ounces, so it's a little heavy on the other side. We have to just do honorable mentions on the bait casters, just because there's a lot of guys out there that are just kind of like they're right in the middle. They want to do bass and stripers. So if you're gonna do a striper reel, you want to do like say glide baits for stripers, right?
Why do you bring mine?
This is a good one. This is a real good one. It won't break the bank, but it's got a lot of power behind it. It's nothing fancy. It's just like I just want to catch stripers, and I want to force them in basically. But it's a Tatula 300 size, and they have a lot of different gear ratios too. This is a 7. They got this. I think they have even 5, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a lot of gear ratios.
A 5.3, a 6.1, 7.3, and then 8.
Yeah, Daiwa says specifically they designed this for all the swim bait guys, but swim bait guys carry right over to us, striper guys. It's got a lot of. It's a pretty deep spool too, so it could definitely do probably, I'll say 100 yards of braid in there. It's also available in a 400 size, but this is just a 300, So if you think you got big stripers on, 400 is probably the way to go. All the other reels, like those, I would say anything 150 and under, you shouldn't be throwing those for stripers because they won't last very long. I've done it. Friends have done it. They'll last maybe a season and it just starts wobbling all over the place. So don't throw your steezes. Don't throw your zillions or anything like that. They're just gonna wobble after a year. I've done it, and when I catch a hybrid by accident, I always baby them in because man, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Talk about your budget reel here.
Oh man, there's another budget reel. Oh dude, this is the president again.
But this is that big one. I think that's a 35.
It says right here. It says 69.40. It's a 40 size. 40 size.
I don't think they make 40 sizes.
I don't know if they still even make. They probably don't even make this one anymore. But this is the setup that I bought for my dad for his birthday. But once again, it's a Fluger. It says 69.40, which is the 69 series. So that's the 40 size. That's a 50 size.
Yeah,
right?
see
how big of a difference it is. But this is probably the perfect rod for like hybrids right here. You know, so cheap everyday everything. You know, it's a 2-piece. It's a 7-foot medium. It'll cast 1/8 ounce to 3/4 ounce, which is perfect for flukes and jig heads. Yeah, flukes and jig heads. It's perfect.
It's actually I fish this rod a lot.
Yeah, we used to fish this a lot.
It actually is pretty good for like
10, 15 pound line.
Yeah, I think it's 15.
Yeah, probably 15. Original Power Pro. Yeah, so that's a very budget conscious like you won't see me fishing that very much right now, but like that's a great like truck rod.
Yeah, like
you know, like
you throw in your car, someone break in, still you're like
exactly. Whatever. Those are the rods and reels where you could just put in your trunk or put it in daylight all day, and you're not too mad if someone fucking steals it.
It's also a 2-piece, so it will go anywhere.
Right. Yeah, it's a 2-piece too, so it's great.
Was it a Diawa Laguna or something?
Yeah, it's one of those. I think it's a $70 rod.
It's a cheap one from Academy.
It's a cheap one from Academy. This is actually really good. You know?
Yeah, it's a Laguna.
I don't even know they make Lagunas anymore.
It's a 2-piece rod.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'm all about the 2-piece too. All about it. I used to hate 1-piece. I still do. It's just the bass world won't let me win, so I have to use 1-piece rods now. But
I was winning tournaments with a 2-piece rod.
I know. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Oh, the new Diawa Drags Finicky. A fishing time. Let's go. Yeah, they are. I'll be honest, man. I bought a ballistic LT, and the drag's always funky on it. Every time you go out. So every time you go out, you have to strip a bunch of line off with the drag on before the drag breaks in and gets ready to go. I don't know what's going on with it. I even greased it with aftermarket grease, and it's still not good. So at least that's one reel. It's accurate. My Shimanos never had a problem with the drag.
You want to talk about your other reels?
Which one?
I mean, you cannot talk about this one.
That's the Laguna? No, that's what I bought for Dad too.
This is your Diawa?
Yeah. Give me that one too. That was I bought that one for my dad like this year. It's actually really good white bass reel.
Oh, new white bass setup.
It's the new white bass setup. It's actually, hey, don't overlook this too, okay? When you guys go to the stores and they have like Bass Pro Special or Cabela special rods. In this case, it is an Academy's special rod. This is an H2O Express, right? I've been waiting for an excuse to buy one, and then when I was ready to buy one, they kind of discontinued them, and a new version of the rod came out. But I wanted the original version because they had these guides on it. These are the Fuji K guides, I think. These are the really good guides. Real light. I really liked it. Pick up the rod. The rod feels real light too. It was I think it's a $90 rod, but it feels like a G Loomis basically is what it is. Okay, and then the reel. Once again, this is my dad's Laguna 3000 size. So he wants to go fishing with us sometimes, and then we don't want to give him our expensive reels because he doesn't know the difference anyways. So for his birthday, we buy him stuff like this. Like this whole setup was probably, I think the reel was like $70. The rod was like $70. So 120, put 150. I think it's 10-pound line, 10-pound line power rope. The whole thing's probably 160, and then tie yourself. He likes throwing rattle traps and game blades, so that's all I give him every time I go out. And as you can see from the videos, he's always killing it. And a lot of times he either does it with this rod or he does it with my other rod, which is running a Stella, which is retarded. I know. Okay, so this is the rod that this is the reel that one guy fishing time let's go was talking about. The drag on this reel is kind of weird. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, it's doing it right now. Yeah, so you have to break it in, and then it'll work good. But I don't know. I'm kind of iffy. But this is the perfect size for white bass. Basically, this is what I would throw. Like right now, if I was going to buy a white bass, personal preferences, right here. This is the exact setup I would throw for white bass. This is probably not this reel. Well, assuming you get this reel and it actually works properly. Still, same size and everything. This is 3,000 size. The difference between the diawa 3,000 and the 2,500 basically is the 3,000 size spools are a little deeper, so you put a little more line on it, just so that if you catch a striper, it won't spool you as easy. That's it. 2,500, 3,000. All right, and once again, see, running the original Power Pro. Original Power Pro. I don't know why I like the red color better. The red color seems to be stronger than the green color. And I have no idea why, but
It's all in here.
I think it's in here. But at the same time, every time I try to buy the line, I buy the real one. I order it online. And it's also rocking the G Loomis rod too, which this is G Loomis IMX. It's a $280 rod, but I bought it on sale. It was $150 off of eBay at one time.
And these are just our bass fishing stuff, but we carry these on our. We call these our side piece.
Yeah, basically.
Because like when you're out, like we'll walk a mile to Center Lake, right? And then we're like, hey, the walleyes are biting that day, or hey, the sand bass, but you don't want to use your 12 or 10-foot surf rod to catch sand bass, so you switch over to your little rod.
That's the other thing that I kind of want to say in this kind of live too is we did a lot of land-based stuff, and I feel like we really stretched the what can you do on land kind of just feel, right? So we got to the point where we would carry a small rod, like a 7-foot rod, and then we'd also carry a 11, 13-foot rod.
How about that one?
Okay, so this one is more of a drop shot rod, okay? But it's got my favorite reel of all time on it. Stratic CI4 Plus. This reel was perfect from day one to the day I messed it up and I had to repair it. Okay? But still, this is my drop shot rod now. Expensive rod. I think this is like a $270 drop shot rod, right? Back when I was into the drop shot thing. Perfectly balanced. It's the drop shot rod by John Cruz from Cash and Rods. It is a great crappie rod, great white bass rod, just because it's got a lot of backbone. It goes all the way out to like 80% and it's stiff. And then the tip is like really whippy. So that's what you get for expensive rods. But I don't recommend it. I can't recommend it.
Well, I mean, this reel is the best budget reel, I think.
Mid-range.
Yeah.
Mid-range. Because it's like $220 for that reel.
I mean, we're now they're cheaper than that.
They're probably cheaper than that. Because the new Stratics out, you can find them online, eBay, for like
You can probably buy them for 100, 170,
150.
150 easy.
Yeah. I feel like that's the best one just because it was the first one to have some of the better gearing and the weight was still real low. Because after that, it felt like the weights kind of went up a little bit, you know? So, but that's just me. That's personal preference type stuff. But most of these reels, like most of the smaller frame reels we're running, as you can see, everything's on braid, right? Everything's on braid. And we're on like 10-pound or 15-pound. Once you get up to this size, these two sizes, we're probably up to 20 and 30. And then when we go to extreme stuff, we're still 20 and 30. That's just how it is on the bank. You know, you kind of have to look at it like my weakness on the bank is I can't go to the other side of the lake, right? So you have to rig up your system to cast far or have the capability to cast far when you need to. Because think about this situation, right? It happens all the time too. You're on the bank, fish is blowing up, right? They're blowing up, but you can't cast towards them. You can't hit them. They're 100 yards out. What do? Nothing. You can't do nothing. You have to just sit there until hopefully they come to you. And there's many times we go to Cedar Lake where we're fishing discharge, and they actually come in, and everybody gets a chance to catch a fish. But there's more times where you just see them blitzing like 200 yards out, and they never come in, and they blitz all day too. I don't know if that ever happens.
Sometimes they'll come right up to the mouth
and do U-turn,
and then do a U-turn.
There's a couple of times where they actually come into the discharge. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, pretty crazy. But a lot of people say that hasn't happened in a long time. Yep. Oh yeah, Stella. That was Stella over there. I have a 4,000 Stella. My dad really likes that. He's like, it's super smooth. He doesn't know why it's so smooth. He's just like, my dad keeps thinking it's a $70 reel.
Yeah, I give my wife my Stella to go trout fishing. She just drops on the rock. So,
if the guys that don't know, a Stella is the flagship model of Shimano.
Yeah, it's the top.
It's the top freshwater reel,
and pretty much
starting price is like $600.
Yeah, $670. Where's yours?
The Stella? It's one of those. Somewhere.
Oh,
It's right in the corner. It's in the corner. Yeah, the Stella. You hardly ever see the Stella because the Stella to me is that reel that's a little too big for bass fishing, and it might be a little too small for stripers. So you don't always see it, but if we know we're gonna go striper fishing that night, that guy is riding shotgun, and that's gonna be the small rod, and then we carry the surf rod. It's a 7.5 foot rod with a 4,000 size Stella on it. So this is probably one of the more famous models of the Stella too, just because it won the ICAST award, and all the reviewers who all the fanboys that chase the Shimano reels, they can also say and attest that and say this is the last good Shimano Stella before they went to all these other ones. I can't remember. I think it's like a 2011 model or something like that. But
something like that,
yeah, it's an older generation model.
It's like late 2000 model.
Yeah. Once again, I bought it from Japan. Okay, so I mean it was like an $800 reel, $700 reel at the time. I bought it near mint condition. I still paid $400 for it. That was when I thought we were going to do hardcore striper fishing next year. So I bought one and then started bass fishing.
Yeah, because I bought a 4,000 size so you could do multi
things. Yeah, and it is so. Oh my gosh, so buttery smooth. It's ridiculous. So that's the reels. The majority of the reels we would recommend. As you guys can see, once you start talking the stripers, we really hang heavy on spinning gear, just because the spinning gear is more forgiving when you're fishing, at night, when you're fishing windy conditions, when you're trying to make a maximum cast, things like that. The spinning reels do better. We're not too concerned with fishing around stumps and things like that. So we don't have to put the 50, 60, 80 pound braids on there. Most of the times we're on 10, 15, and 20. So the striper, when you get smashed by a striper, it doesn't run towards a tree. It kind of runs in open water. And as long as you know how to fight them properly, you could catch most of them on, 10 pound line. It's fine, All right. So those are the reels. Any questions on reels before we go to rods? Because there's a bunch of questions popping up on rods. Hold on. Mix the baits. All right, so let's go to rods. rods, I still favor a 2-piece. I
Yeah.
still favor a 2-piece over the 1-piece. Even though I just showed you a bunch of 1-piece rods, I still favor the 2. Just because by design, the 2-piece rod has to have a stiffer butt section, and before it like can put the top piece on, right? So that bottom half has to be stiffer than the, and then as you connect it, it's still pretty beefy. They have to make it beefy so that it won't split, right? So then you have like a smaller tip on top, or a more limber tip on top. But what that does is it allows you to whip it. Okay, by design, as a side effect of a 2-piece, the 1-piece and the 2-piece, all 2 pieces are going to be more stiffer than a 1-piece. That's just kind of how I've been looking at the industry. So, my favorite rod, I don't know if it's up there or not. It's somewhere up there, but it's a St. Croix for the 7-foot. Let me see if I can find it. It's an old rod. They don't even make it no more.
All right. Well, while he's looking for that rod, I'll show you my favorite rod. So for bass fishing, I've been using this guy a lot. It is the Falcon Expert Rod. This is the 7.6 finesse jig rod. But I use it for everything: hybrid fishing, white bass fishing. It's almost like that drop shot rod Colin was talking about earlier. Like a lot of backbone, a lot of backbone, but little like light tip, like really light tip. See, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you could throw little jigs on this. You could throw heavier stuff, like almost up to 1 ounce, because it's so long. It's a 7.6 rod.
Yep.
But the only second part is 2-piece. Of course, it's a bass rod, but
It's a bass rod.
I mean, I use it for jerk baiting.
I got it.
I use it for
Like this.
everything.
This is the original. Okay, so long story short, I saw after a while of fishing, you kind of know what you want, right? And then you go searching for it, but then you always run into the problem of the one you want is no longer a common rod or a common model of rod. So I actually looked this one up on the St. Croix website, and I went to my local Bass Pro, which carried it. They didn't have it. I went to the Oklahoma City Cabela's. They didn't carry it. For some reason, I went to visit my sister in Minnesota, and we had nothing else better to do. So we went shopping during Black Friday, and I found it. You know, because I was gonna order this until, but then I wasn't sure because I wasn't sure of St. Croix yet. And then I went up there. I found this in the store. They had like 2 or 3 of them. I was contemplating buying 2. But it's the St. Croix Premier. It's 2-piece. This is the good thing about this one. It's a 7-foot, but it's a medium heavy. I believe it's medium heavy. It's been so long. Yeah, it's a medium power.
Fast action.
But it's a fast action, which is what I want, because everything else has been like medium heavy, but moderate action. I wanted a fast. And then I bought that, and then I paired it with a Shimano Stratic, and then I was happy for like 4 years, roughly 4 years. 10-pound line. This rod just whips. Like those T10s and Yozuris, those head-in spooks. It whips it far. So it was all to me. That's my mini surf rod that could do everything. Everything from everything that's close range. Double crappie jigs was excellent. Gate blades excellent. All the way up to the flukes, half-ounce flukes, excellent. I fished it. It was my go-to. It was my truck rod for a while too. For a long while. So still like my favorite setup. And I'm sure some of you guys are like, what happened? How could you pick that over the G Loomis, and how can you pick that over all the other rods? Because it's a 2-piece.
It's easy to carry.
It's easy to carry. It's a 2-piece. Yeah, I like it. 2-piece. All right.
Surf rod time.
Surf rod time.
I only brought one.
You brought the one that mattered.
So, reason why I got this guy. See, this one never had guides. The first third.
Expensive rod. Okay, we're jumping from like a $150 rod to $300.
$475.
$475.
So this rod, reason why I came up for it, I came to the conclusion of buying this rod was I had a 10.6 at the time, and I can't touch those 125 yards like blitz, and it was pissing me off. So I was like, if I have a 12-footer, I'll hit him, right? If I have a 12-footer, I'll hit him. So I looked at all the rods at the time, and all those 12-footers were 6 foot. Like, you think about 12 foot, and they cut it into 2, so it's a 6 foot halves. I'm like, I can't stuff that in my hatch or my like Honda Civic.
Once again,
Or his, I can't put it into his trunk of his Civic. Or
at the time.
At the time, right? So we're like, we gotta get like a 2-piece rod or a 3-piece rod. Like, just think about it. Here's a 7-11, right?
No, that's an 11 foot.
Yeah, like,
That's
I mean,
11.
yeah, 11, what, 6, right?
I think it's 11 even. 11 even. Right? 11?
11 2.
11 2? Yeah.
So, see, that 11-footer is way longer. See that? From there to there.
Yep.
See that?
Yep.
And, I mean, the 12, you add another, like, 6 inches on top. So, I was like, I can't do that. Right? So, that's why I bought this rod, because it's a 3-piece.
It's a 3-piece.
3-piece.
3 times 4 is 12. No, 3 times 3.5.
But it's a 13-footer. This is a 13 3-inch rod. So, it's a long rod.
It's a long rod.
And reason I bought it is also because these rods are built for like tournament casting. You know, where you see those guys, they do that crazy 360 spin before they let it go. These rods are built for that.
Right. At the time, we were looking up rods, and diawa, which is what this is, Sotiga, right?
Yeah, it's
Sotiga.
Ballistic. Sotiga ballistic.
Well, there's Sotiga. Ballistic surf.
Yeah.
So there's like, I really didn't really understand what was going on either, but at the time there was like, once again, it's like whole Europe carp fishing thing, and they have like casting like tournaments, almost like golf, but they just sit there and just throw as far as you can go. Basically, that's what they do. And that was one of those rods. That was a production rod. Okay, so there's custom rods and there's production rods, and this was one of the names that kept on coming up. Okay, and it was one of those names where like you could put a spinning reel on it, or you could put a bait caster on it. It didn't matter. So, he just loved it, so he bought one.
I was like, if I need to touch it and it fits in my length that I want, it'll fit in the car. So I was like, yeah, let's just swing for the fences and buy it and see what it does.
Yeah, it's a great build too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you ever replace an eye or anything on it?
No.
Yeah, so he's been thrashing on it for many years.
Yeah.
The eyes are still pretty good.
I mean, it's scuffed up, dirty.
Yeah. You can't say that about all other surf rods. Okay.
I mean, at the time, these guys, they didn't come on every surf rod yet.
That was kind of like
There's like the newest technology.
Time. You know, they flipped the guides reverse on the first one. Like, look at this one. This is a surf rod too, but it's still got the traditional guides, right?
Yeah.
It still faces, like, all of them face this way. That's when he bought that one, and this one was reversed. Yeah. And I was like, oh, bro, you got a defect. Yeah. You got a defect. And he's like, no, it's supposed to be like that. I'm like, really? Okay. And, when you started casting, then you started seeing why, right? And then every reputable surf rod after that started doing that. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but they all started doing that. So that was the first time I've ever noticed. And the thing is, they're all small rings. Not all of them are big. Like, if you look at this, this starts off, it's very traditional, right? This is a St. Croix. It starts off big, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you go. That one, it starts off pretty small.
This is the first ring already.
That's the first ring.
It's small.
And it's as small as my medium rings, halfway up my rod already. Yeah.
So the thing about it is, there's a lot of technology and studies that went into this rod. So by the time your spool comes out big, it come out the line come out, your spool is probably 5-6 inches, and you want it to funnel through this little hole. So as soon as it funnels through this little hole, it's just a straight shot. Yeah. And not having it funnel through all these a bigger one, a medium size,
bigger one, smaller.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resistance as it goes, right?
So the technology was if we force everything just to touch this one guide here, and then everything is already straight, it just shoots out.
Yep.
And that's what the surf world came down to. Everybody's running these guys.
Yeah, everybody's doing this. So Prevail's doing it now. St. Croix, all the legends, everybody did it now. But back then, that was kind of cutting edge.
Yeah, that was cutting edge back in 2010,
2012, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of guides, see, this like I said, this is the one you had before that one.
Yeah,
See how big this guide is? This is like 2-inch guide, like 2 inches in here. It's huge, right?
Yeah, that's how my Emblem Pro was.
Yeah. This is the Prevail. I mean, this is still one of those rods that we recommend. The Prevail is just like I think it's $90. $100 bucks. It's like $100.
Get those anymore.
I mean, the Prevail 2 is out. I don't know if the Prevail 3 is probably out now, but that's the original Prevail. I think $47 from Academies.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about custom rods because this one falls into that category. So, once again, it's a diawa. Diawa so take a surf. But this one I only paid about $150 for because they were discontinuing this because they was launching the other one, right? So somebody had some old stock on this, and I bought it, and like I said, it was weird because the idea at the time we were playing with, like everybody was throwing mono and everybody was converting to braid. So this rod originally only came with, I think it was 5 guides or 4 guides. But they were all like the crazy big ones. I mean, like they were like the biggest guys I've ever seen, right? And I threw it, and it felt like it didn't do anything. Braid, mono must have been great, but nobody threw mono. We were in the middle of transitioning, right? So I re-guided it. So I started playing with the guides, and this is my first guide. This is kind of a crazy looking guide too. Look at that.
Kind of saying the same concept.
Yeah, kind of the same concept, but this is from American Tackle Company. I think it's what it's called, but it's called the Airwave Guide. I'm still on the fence about it. I don't know if it really promises what it's supposed to do because supposedly you guys saw it. Well, look at this design. Right? You got a big guide, and then like a ½ inch above it, it's a smaller guide. So supposedly when the line swings like this, it comes through here. This will focus it a lot better through this than the other ones, okay? Because right after that, all the other guides are just regular guides. All right, they're just regular guides. So for $100, I actually bought all the guides. They were pretty expensive, $100 for just guides, and I have the machine that rolls it. So I actually rolled it. On the fence, I don't know if it's really that good. I get a lot of questions about that. And then, of course, you guys have seen this one many, many times. This is the 9-foot St. Croix Avid. Nothing but good things to say about this rod. Of course, it's discontinued. I bought it on clearance, but this is only a 9.5-foot rod. It's a red one, and somebody offered to buy it off me one time. But it's one of those things where, like, when you go out there and you've already made up your mind, I'm strictly chasing stripers, no white bass, nothing. I start with that, and I bring the 11 also. Because this one can't make that 100-yard cast. It just can't do it. It just doesn't have the whipping power behind it. Not enough velocity. I don't care what you do. It's not going to touch 100 yards. And then it's great because I get to do all this other stuff. Like you throw jigs, flukes, and stuff like that. You can throw 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce on it, but you're not going very far, okay? But if the blitz seems to be, 120 yards out, then you still got the 11-foot. The 11-foot's on standby, so that's why we carry 2 rods a lot of times.
Just good for your bombers at night.
Yeah, great for bombers at night. Like anything kind of like heavy duty, short range. Great for bombers. Great for whatever you want to do, slow or close to you. And I run that like that. This is the reel that's on that rod, and I run on 30-pound braid to a 50-pound model leader.
Ha, found it. You can't talk rod unless you talk about one of these. Talk about these ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, MO swim baiter. I agree with that one. This is the original. Yeah, how are you guys not gonna talk about this? This is the original ugly stick. I can't believe you still got it.
Yeah.
Ugly stick light. I think it's an 8.5 foot rod. I think 8.6. Yeah, it is an 8.6. I went to California and bought this. Okay, I think my cousin Zane took me to Rod and Guns or something. I saw this. I was like, "It's exactly what I need." So I bought it. The original hybrid heat video. That stole the show basically.
So we were. This is when like we just started strapper fishing in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And like we're starting to catch them pretty good, and then everybody's like, "Buy these salmon rods. Buy salmon rods."
Yeah, that's a salmon rod. Okay, for someone who just asked about salmon rods, that is a salmon rod.
Yeah, but this is an ugly two-piece salmon rod.
Two-piece salmon rod. It's really rare. Really
one
rare.
of the buddies in town, they're like buying these 9-foot, 10-foot salmon rod. They're like, "Yeah, just buy a salmon rod. It'll throw your lure just fine." And then he pulled the trigger on a salmon rod, but you know, there's a ugly stick salmon rod. I was like, "Mom, dude, there must be something else other than salmon rod." Because I just didn't like this part, the butt, right? It's pretty long, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But it's not like a surf rod where it's like down here where you got more leverage.
Yeah,
it's like you have like no leverage. You have to like baseball bat.
Yeah, it's a baseball bat. You have to run like 3 steps.
Yeah. So I was like, there's some other way. So I looked up into surf fishing. That's why I went to the surf rod. And at the time, one of my other buddy, his brother, he was throwing surf rods from the Tsunami brand from Cabela's. So like, man, I gotta get a surf rod.
Yep. And that changed the game.
Yeah, and that changed the game.
Yeah. At least in our area, it changed the game. After that, everybody was on surf rods. So basically, for the most part, I mean, at least I hope you guys get a decent idea of what's going on. So depending on what kind of fish you want to chase, whether you just want to do white bass, striper, or you don't know, you go out and you're like, well, what if the stripers aren't there? Well, I need to bring a smaller rod. Bring like a 7.5 foot rod.
Or you mess around until it's time.
Like that. Or you mess around until it's time. Or sometimes you have to catch bait too. So like a 7.5 foot is good for like, say, we don't do this anymore, but if you're in an area that has it, like, you know, skipjack, herring, things like that, you need a smaller rod that can throw sabiki rigs, throw jigs, things like that, catch the bait fish. I mean, so you can hook up and chuck out.
Down in Lower Illinois, you gotta bring a little rod to catch trout.
Yeah.
So and then you take your trout, and then
that video is coming this year too. Live trout stuff. So you have to go catch trout. You have to catch bait. Can't do that on a surf rod. It's just you look stupid out there, basically. But yeah, you need a smaller rod just in case you gotta catch smaller fish. And then when it's game time, the strappers come in. I think the bigger the rod, the better. Really, it really does boil down to that. Why I say that is because you could turn the fish. It's easier for you to turn the fish and work the fish. And when you set the hook, it drives the hooks better. It just does. You think about how like you grab the handle, you pull it like this on a 9-foot rod on my little red rod. After it bends and everything, you probably pull the hook about like from where it starts. You probably pull it about that, right? But if you put it on a 13, it's like that. So it drives the bar. It drives the bar through the nose. It just works better. It just straight up works better. It's not really even debatable at that point. And if the stripers are running weird, you know, you try to keep them away from, I don't know, say you see a tree or something, try to keep them away. You want to steer them away. The 13 has a lot more steering power too. All right?
Talk about some of the other rods.
You want to do bait casters since we're on it? I know Mo swim bait slinger. She has a lot of experience with stripers and bait casters and giant swim baits and stuff like that. Well, we'll get to that in a bit too. But for me, if you're on a bait caster setup, you gotta be at least a 7.5 foot rod.
Well, I just don't bring bait casters.
We just straight up don't do it very often.
Fish on the bank.
Yeah, when you're fishing from the bank, unless you're fishing the dam where you know you're just making the same cast over and over and over, and it's only like a 30-yard cast.
Yeah.
Then the bait caster starts to come into play again, right? But if you go and you're going to be mobile, you're moving around, I just don't feel like the bait caster is like there because you know what I'm talking about when you get that career-ending bait caster like backlash, and you're just done, and one rod is down. That's horrible. It's a horrible feeling because you only have one rod. You can't be down. Where on a spinning rod, more than likely, you're never going to have that problem. Like the wind knot issue is a lot less likely to happen than a bait cast like backlash issue,
especially in the dark.
Especially in the dark too.
Yeah, we learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
When we were first starting bait casts, we're like, we're so good at this. We just go night fishing for striper on a jumbo. Backlash. It's like, I can't pick this in the dark.
I can't see it. I can't pick it. You slap it on the surface of the water. You slap it on the boat. Or when I'm going to throw it and he tangles my line, it's done too.
Yeah, so.
You know? So the bait casters really don't play too much of a role unless, like I said, unless you're throwing swim baits, like the big stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Alexa.
Then it might play. I do have Alexa. It's up there too. Alexa 400 or 300. And you have to throw it on specialized bigger gear. So when you're talking bigger gear, that's what that one is. It's a Champion 8.5 foot. Like if I was going to throw a bait cast setup, this would be right here.
6.
I really don't even know what all those acronyms are, but it's a 687 mag HSB championship. It's a champion series from Dobbins. I bought it. I've had it for like 4 or 5 years now, and I just throw giant earrings on it for the most part.
It's meant for HUDs.
But I bought it for Huddleston's basically. It's Alexa. I thought it was Alexa 400. It was just a 300. But yeah, pretty beefy. It's low gear ratio too. It's a 5.1, which is like crawling. Okay. But that's what I would throw if I was going after the stripers at night, throwing a big bait. You know, it's 10-inch live bait. That's what I would want, right there.
I'm running that TFO swim bait rod, like MO swim bait in there.
Yep.
I'm running that 7-Eleven TFO swim bait rod on a Shimano 300 size. What is it? What is it called?
Tranks?
Yeah, Tranks.
Yeah, Shimano Tranks is also another good one. A lot of people recommend.
a lot of swim baiters use that Tranks. So.
So
there's a
in
301
terms of rods, that's a really good one for the bigger stripers. I'm talking about those 28 plus inch stripers. That's probably the rod you probably want to just get a feel of it, right? But anything less than that, I feel like that 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6 medium heavy paired with like a 200 size reel that can put at least 150 yards of, say, 30-pound line. Perfect.
John Vane, that TFO budget rod friendly go?
TFO?
Yeah. That blue one that
The side has?
Cyber is a TFO.
The surf rod?
Yeah.
No, I think it's in the world of the surf rods it is, because I think it's still like 260. I think it's still $260 for it. But my red one was like 260. The Sotigas are $300-400. Wish I have a legend to show you guys.
I mean, I think they are a little on the budget friendly side,
Yeah.
but the blank when they first came out, the blank they break a lot. Yeah, they'll snap on under big pressure.
Yep. We have a friend that's already broken 3 of them in 3 years. Yeah. But the good thing is you contact them, you send it back, you brand new. Like, it's almost like a no questions asked type thing too. So the warranty is really good. All right, so that's TFO. St. Croix Mojo, same thing. I don't know what it is, but they're always breaking. I don't know why. I think that's kind of the entry level rod, so they have to compromise somewhere, But once you get to the Avids, the Legends, I hardly hear people breaking those anymore. They're pretty rare to break, unless you do something stupid, like my cousin. Yeah, Curtis broke it, like snagged on a rock or something. He just pulled like crazy and just snapped. I'm not supposed to do that. And it snapped at the butt section too, where like the top piece goes in the small piece. It like split right there.
Really?
Yeah, Curtis not broke one. At least that's what he's told me. So that's the rod and reels, right? Any last minute ones?
Not really.
Yep.
We covered all the bases.
Yep. So that's all the rods and reels, guys. That's an hour, 10 minutes into rods and reels. What's the line rating? I don't even know. I'll read it off for you quickly. It doesn't even say. Oh, yeah, it does. It's just covered in tape. 12 to 25, 2 to 6 ounce. 12 to 25. But I run 20 most of the time.
I think that's on mono.
Yeah, it's probably mono. We run braid. I'm pretty sure it's on braid too. But. All right. So let's just transition to baits, right? Lines. Well, let's go line, then we go baits, because that's what we said. Lines, braid. Everything's braid.
It's easy. $5.
Yeah, braid. Everything is braid. Everything.
Then
10
your
pound
leader?
braid, 15 pound braid, 20 pound braid, 30 pound braid, 55 pound braid.
Who's your leader?
Here you go. The number 1 leader in the world right here. You can see it?
One up here too.
Number 1 leader in the world. Because
This is 12.
I got 30, 40, 50 pound braid. Mono somewhere. But this is just good because, one, it's really cheap. It's real cheap. Just about every bait and tackle store will carry it. Okay? Every single one. Walmart carries it, right? Bass Pro has a ton of them.
Yeah.
Academy has a ton of them.
Everybody carries.
Every mom and pop shop carries this because this is one of the best lines for the catfish fishermen too. So they're always spooling this. So it's one of those things where like it's awful as a main line because the diameter is so big, but as a leader material, it's actually what you want. You actually don't really care too much about breaking strength. It's more about just a big line up in the as leader. So when you're rubbing up against stuff, it doesn't break. For in this case, for stripers, big stripers, you don't want them the gill plate to cut your line. So you just want something thick up there. It also acts like a shock absorber. Okay, so a lot of guys say spend the $50 on a fluorocarbon that's stretchy. Well, that's just like stupid in my opinion because mono does the exact same thing for a 50th of the price. Like you go buy like some of the sunlight stuff, and for 30 yards it's $20 already, and it's a stretchy fluorocarbon, right? You're like, what? Makes no sense. Look at this. 30 yards, 30 pound, 440 yards, and it's like $6. It does exactly the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so the only difference is maybe the sunline in super gene clear water, it might look a little bit more.
But a lot of swim bait guys, they throw big game.
Yeah.
30-pound big game on. I mean, swim baiter as in like the largemouth chaser, like trophy bass chasing. They throw a lot of big game too.
Even tactical basses they just throw them sometimes.
Yeah.
Tactical
They
basses.
spool every time you go out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and if you want to change your line every time you go out,
yeah,
that's super cheap. You could probably spool your reel 4 times, 5 times with this for $6 versus if you're going to spool 30-pound like FC sniper every time you spool is like $10. Like on reels, $10. Yeah, every time.
Probably about $15.
Yeah, $10 to $15 every time you spool versus what?
Because a spool like that big, a spool for 600 yards of fluorocarbon is like 150.
No, that's 1,200. The spools we buy are like the 600-yard ones. Those are
they're that size though.
Oh, this size?
Yeah, they're like 150 to $200.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, yeah, give or take. If you're a tournament angler, or if you're chasing like a world record or something, if you're at that level, then go ahead. High end, I endorse it. But if you're just a regular guy, it's okay if you use 1 or 2, and you're on a budget. I would say pick your equipment very, very, very well. Like, what do you need? Things you can sacrifice a little bit on, like leader material, sacrifice on that. Like I said, just most guys are on a budget, so you have to kind of find out which products are good that are not RLA, and then just go with that. For the most part, you'll be pretty happy. Yep.
All right. Put the sack in my bag.
Stuffy nose again.
What's next? You want to talk about bait stuff?
Top fluorocarbon. Would you recommend fluorocarbon for striper fishing?
Yeah.
Because Master Lockdown just mentioned it Fluorocarbon and braid is about the same price.
They are about the same price, but it depends on what kind of fluoro you're buying or what kind of braid you're buying. Because good braid does cost a lot, and then good fluorocarbon does cost a lot. But then the thing about braid is you don't have to change it out. Like
braid's good for about 2 years.
Yeah, right? Maybe 1 season. I say 1 season. Yeah. If you don't break them off or anything, 1 season.
Or rubbing
or 2 seasons.
Or anything like that. Yeah.
But your fluorocarbon is only good for 10 trips, maybe.
See, that's
you
the
can
thing,
push
though,
it, but I
probably
think
push
it's
it like
10 trips.
10 to 15 trips. But that's if you're not fishing tournaments, right? Because if you're just fishing for fun, then yeah, you can probably do 10, 15. But when we fish tournaments, we change them out every 5 trips. It's about every 5 trips you should change them out because we abuse them a lot basically in the world of bass fishing. Always rubbing on like trees and all this other stuff. Yeah. So you gotta change it out. Can't change it out. And fluorocarbon to me is not very forgiving compared to like mono, because the mono you can backlash it and then you can have a kink in it, but it won't like break as easily. On fluorocarbons, there's some brands where as soon as you get like any kink on it, even though it's 10 pounds, you just grab it with 2 fingers and goes snap. That's the downside of fluorocarbon. That's
the maintenance is high.
Everything is high.
Can't be in direct sunlight.
Exactly. All the above. Like it's a high maintenance, like girlfriend or whatever you want to call it, right? But she looked pretty though. Yeah. Because that fluorocarbon in the water, it like disappears. You can't see it.
Less stretch
and everything. Yep. Pretty much.
How long does it make your leader line come?
For surf rods, 3 foot minimum. Sometimes all the way out to 12.
What? So there's a couple rules of thumb. What I do is I just go like this and then like this and I just cut it.
2 wingspans.
2 wingspans. Since I have such a long rod, that's what I do. But so if you have, so full length for your rod, right? It's like 10 foot, right?
Yep.
So I'll say about like 10 foot. If you had running like a 10 footer, probably 10 foot is pretty good. Almost the length of your rod. You could double that. But the thing is, you don't really want your leader to go into your reel.
Yep. So a lot of times, let's just put it this way, as a general rule of thumb, right? When you have your rod set up and you're holding it like this, and it's got like say 3 foot hanging off the tip, right, where you're about to cast, right? Because you should have about 3 foot hanging off the end. Gives you more whipping power, right? So when that happens, here's your right, so like this, right? So you do this, right? Kind of like that, right? So it's ready to go. Your knot will be right here. I like the knot to be right here, right?
Yeah, so when it comes out, it doesn't come out. It doesn't cause any backlash coming out.
There's
it doesn't bump anything.
Yeah, there's a weird problem if you have the line that goes and it wraps in here. When it comes out, it doesn't come out like consistent. It comes out big and then it goes small, and then it could wrap on that first guy and it breaks.
And also, like when it comes out, it want to expand because it's a fresh leader line coming out. So there's no memory of it on that reel. So when it comes out, it want to expand. And your braid is limp, so it pulls your braid and it gets caught. Yeah. So if you just keep it on the line going up, you just hold it like even like a foot above your finger before you throw. That's fine. So I'll say like the length of your rod is great. Like even on my little spinning rod, I do the same. I'll keep it down to like if I'm running a 7 footer, I'll keep it around on like the 8 foot, 7 foot leader.
And so it depends on some guys. Some guys don't like the leader that long. And we usually don't do it like that all the time too. But if you go into an area where you're going to snag and break off a lot, then that's when we really go to that long leader, because I don't want to be tying the joint knot all the time. The FG knot is what I tie. Because it literally takes too much time to tie that. So I'd rather go with a long leader. And then if it breaks off somewhere. So, I'll give you an example. Like a couple of years ago, we was fishing Keystone Dam, and every time we caught a big fish, right, it would just take us down to the wave breakers. And if you only had a 3-foot section on it, it would break you off on the braid section all the time. And it got to the point where a couple of the guys, they were tying, they had 11-foot surf rods and they were tying 15 to 20-foot leaders. Just so that when the big striper hits you and he's digging down on those wave breakers, like you're so far away too. Don't get me wrong, you're not like within 20 yards. You're like 100 yards out. So where the fishing you're at, the line there's like almost no angle on it. It's like a flat line. So when the fish takes you and he rubs across everything, you want a long leader. Basically, you want a long leader. So they broke off so many that they got to the point where they just like, you know what, just twice the length of your rod. And they were able to catch a lot of fish that way. But very specialized situation. Most of the times you'll never do that. So yeah. So when it comes to knots, like I said, FG knot, I tie FG knot.
I tie FG most of the time.
Most of the time,
like 90%.
Yeah, 90%. Sometimes I tie the Alberto knot, but it keeps failing on me, so I don't know why. But 47, he's 100% FG knot. He can tie an FG knot under a minute, I think. I think he timed it, and he put a video out too. He can tie FG knot under a minute, so he's pretty quick.
I can tie pretty quick too.
Yeah.
I tie it determined it. Probably takes me about maybe around a minute, 30 seconds to a minute. Depends on how focused I am.
Yeah. All right. So that's what we like. But subject to change, subject to whatever you like, whatever works for you. It's just we're just here to kind of give feedback. We've tried a lot of different things. I've tried the double uni. I started with a double uni, but like I said, that one broke on me maybe 3 times, and I gave up on it. And I started tying the Alberto knot. It's pretty good, but over like a whole year, it would give up like 2 or 3 times. And then I switched to the FG knot. I didn't tie it properly, okay, to start with. And they gave up on me 3 or 4 times, and then I learned how to tie it properly. It has never given up on me ever since, okay? Unless I was doing something real stupid, like I didn't retie it. Okay, so we go fishing for bass sometimes, and we're real lazy, so sometimes we don't retie our knots. I went fishing. I was doing this $16 jackhammer. It was like the 3rd trip out, and I still haven't retied this knot yet. And a big fish smokes my jackhammer, and I set on him, and then finally gave out. And after that, I was like, you know what? That was a lot to ask for a knot. So ever since that moment, every time we go out, just tie a new big knot, so you'll be all right. Okay. All right, let's get to the lures, I guess.
We did
mostly
lures last week.
Oh, yeah, we did lures last week already. So if you haven't talked about lures, if you have lure questions, go back to last week because we talked about our favorite 5, and he talked about his favorite 5.
Favorite tackle boxes?
Favorite tackle boxes. You can flash it up. It's almost an hour and a half. Because we're only be here for an hour and a half. So.
This plano is really good. It's a big plano. I mean, I just throw stuff in here and I just close it. Like, it is loaded.
That's a stuff too.
I mean, the good thing about this plano is it's fairly deep. It holds all your big plugs, like GT minnows.
Yep.
I mean, all your big plugs, it'll hold it. Even glide bait, because I don't put any of those dividers in. I just leave it all empty and stack it. Yep. Oh, I got a brand new one. I was gonna
Plano also. This is actually the one that I kind of like. I did a review on this one time.
Brand new
one too. But it's a double layer. So once again, no dividers, right? You see that? No dividers. Big baits. We're talking. Well, that's a big bait. These are the big swim baits from last week. Look at that. Magnum fluke with a Magnum J head on it. It's like a 2-ounce J head. This is a treat for you guys. You guys don't want to throw this, but this is it's basically a glorified fluke. Cascade lures. Known in the bass fishing world, but I do throw it for stripers. So bam, close that up. But the trick is this box. It's a double layer. Look at the bottom half.
Which is cool because it feels like you're carrying one tackle box, but you got 2.
Yeah, 2 tackle boxes. So I put the plastics on top, put the hard baits on the bottom. See how that works? Once again, that's a big pencil popper. These are Gibbs pencil poppers. Not my favorite. Last week talked about favorites. Not my favorite because it's just so expensive. But I have, and then a bunch of swim baits on top. Savage eels. Cape Cod guys. Cape Cod guys. You better be throwing that guy. You better be throwing that guy. Straight black too. My favorite color. And mate, better be throwing straight black. But pretty much, that's about it. Right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yep. I mean, yeah, you got bombers.
Oh yeah. Some bombers, Missouri, crystal magnum minnows. But that's about it. So that's it for tonight, guys. Let's do 5 minutes of questions, and after that, we're gonna call it a night. So whatever questions you got, we still got like 20 guys on board. So any random questions, striper related questions, if it's something we've already talked about, then we'll put you back. But going forward, we're gonna be talking about, like I said, Tuesdays it's usually bass, Thursdays it's stripers and white bass. So you can even suggest topics if you want for next week's topics. But next week we're probably gonna do like stripers from the boat or something like that, or nighttime striper fishing, something that's a little bit more, maybe a little more focused. But we did a lot of like equipment stuff this weekend because a lot of people have been asking for this video too. So we decided to do the live thing just because it's less editing and all that sort of stuff. Plus, we get good feedback from you guys too. Actually, what you guys want us to talk about, want us to discuss, versus just kind of picking a random topic and going with it. Right?
Favorite size bucktail.
Bucktail? I don't throw bucktails much, but I can tell you 47 likes to throw bucktail. He loves it. But it's pricey. That's like $4.50 or $3.50.
Yeah, about $2, $3.75, $4.50 around.
It's a good one. Caught a lot of stripers on it.
I like the 1 ounce. If I'm fishing like Keystone, 1.5 ounces.
Yep.
Throw it like right by the wall, and then give it a 4-second pause, and then reel it as fast as you can before it gets stuck.
Yeah, that's another thing too about for us. It's like we don't throw bucktails as much as the striper community probably wants us to do it, because our waters are real shallow. So you bomb a bucktail out there 150 yards in 5 foot of water, it's not coming back. Yeah, it's not coming back.
You gotta hang up on a giant guard or giant spoonbill, something.
Yeah, it's just not coming back. So that's why we don't do it as much, because $3.50 versus $1.50, and you're using 5 a day, it adds up. So that's why in our area it's so popular to throw just a jig head and a fluke. It's cheap. A jig head's $1, a fluke's probably 25 cents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so $1.50 roughly with taxes.
Cents,
yeah. So that's why it's so popular for our area. Bucktail's $3.50, like I said, for like a good one. And then you're about to drop like $20 of bucktails, and then you go out there for 2 hours and lose $20 versus losing $7. So catches the same fish.
Right. What do you think about the Van Star VR200 for striper fishing with a 12-foot CTS?
CTS, huh? All right. So the thing about the Van Stall is, this is where you gotta make a decision. Like Van Stall in general, that company is great. Nothing bad about them. They are a high performance company. The only thing against them, this is the only thing I have against the Van Stall reels, is they're too heavy. That's the only thing I have against them. Everything else checks off every single box. They are strong, lifetime warranties more than likely, billet everything, which is even stronger than anything that diawa could put out. At the same time, those reels weigh like 29 ounces, 32 ounces, 35 ounces. So, like I'm telling you, I think this one's 28, and we don't even want to carry this one anymore. We're dropping it down to like 16. 16. If you look at this one's like 22. And look at the size of this reel compared to this one. Right? So that's why you don't see Van Stalls around here. I have considered buying Van Stalls in the past.
And it's really only good if you're surf fishing. You go into the water too. Van Stalls. Yeah.
That's what the
If
Van
you're
Stalls
like
is designed
on
for.
dry land, then you don't really need it. A lot of the surf guys in like New York, that wade out, like they'll wade out to a rock. That's when they get a lot of Van Stalls.
Like I said, that's the only reason why it checks the boxes off everything. Like a Shimano would never do that. You can't do that with a Shimano. If you're gonna wade out there in salt water, you can't do it. The Daiwas might stand a chance, but you probably still shouldn't do it. Van Stalls were basically built for that.
Yeah.
Right? Well, the flip side, the Van Stalls are so heavy, and then we do know some people that bought Van Stalls and they've sold them and gone back to Daiwas or Shimanos because one, they're too heavy, and two, they don't cast as far. Okay, so it depends on what you want. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Depends on what you want.
Yeah. First striper trip of the year, when and where and when.
Probably Main Lake Point somewhere.
I don't know.
Creek
I mean, I've been thinking about some Keystone Dam. We've been wanting to go to Keystone, but their generation schedule has been kind of up and down. So we're waiting for that perfect opportunity to go for some winter bass fishing.
Yeah, Keystone's 50-50 right now. I've heard mixed reports. Like some guys go, they limit out. Some guys go 2-3 days in a row, can't catch a single thing. Can't even get a bite. Like, can't even buy a bite. So, dams are always good fishing, but it feels like crappie's where it's at right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
everybody says crappie is hot.
We're a multi-species channel, so we do everything.
Mm-hmm.
we just really love the stripers, but usually wintertime we're for the most part crappie fishing. We do probably 50% crappie in wintertime.
Yeah, because everything's kind of slow.
Yeah, everything's kind of slow, but the crappies they're buying pretty good. So
yeah, it's just kind of like a time to kick back.
Yeah, it's a good like we're power fishermen, so we do a lot of running around throughout the whole year. This is our only time to actually sit and eat potato chips and catch crappies.
Look at bobbers.
Look at bobbers. So that's why we do crappies. Hanging out with the peoples, basically. It's a good time.
Nighttime or pitch black fishing?
Okay, so when it comes to striper fishing at night, I prefer full moon or a little bit of that. I don't like the pitch black thing. I just don't like it. I can't see. Like, we always fish together. I can't see him. He can't see me. And we're only like 10 feet apart. You know? So it's like, I don't like the true pitch black. Some people swear by it. I can't. I want to see, like, rocks I'm throwing towards. At least I can see where the splash is at. Mm-hmm. So I can, like, throw far harder. So I can hit those rocks.
I like it when the moon rises and you're throwing into the moon. Yeah. So you can see where you're fishing.
Yeah. So
that's what I like.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Randy, we're only live on Tuesday and Thursday. Yep. Well, he's live on Tuesday. I usually come by for Thursday.
Yeah, Randy, come by on Tuesday. I know you're a kayak guy. Join me on Tuesday nights. We talk kayak, we talk bass.
I need to come on some Tuesday nights and skip out on some Thursday nights.
Thursdays are stripers and Tuesdays are bass. So that's what it is. Thumbs up. Everybody give it a thumbs up. A couple of guys have been giving us thumbs up. Really appreciate it.
The Edge Surf Rod. I've been looking at them too on eBay. The Edge one. Yeah, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I'm actually in the market of buying like a 10-footer or like something smaller than my 13 because you don't want to bang this guy all the time. I need something to be more universal.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So, any last questions before we sign off?
We're 5,000 size, 25,000 size, or 55,000 size Shimano Ortega.
Yeah, should be good.
Should be pretty good.
Yeah, sounds like a decent setup. Yeah.
Because, that's what we started off with, the Ortega and CR4.
A bunch of our friends still have them.
Yeah, that's what That's what 47 started out with. So yeah, it's a great reel. I mean, the longevity of the reel is not that
It's
great.
questionable.
Yeah, but the reel itself is good. Just can't horse fish. I mean, like when you catch a fish, just don't pump it. You know, you pull the fish with the rod, and then you reel the slack in while you lower the rod and pump the fish back up.
Right.
Don't just reel.
That's the difference between us and bass fishing, right?
Yeah.
Bass fishing, you set the hook and you just reel. That's it. That's all you do. But everybody else, like for striper guys, you need to pump the fish, reel the slap. Pump the fish, reel the slap. Pump the fish, reel the slap. Your reels last a lot longer that way.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, and let the fish run more.
Yeah.
You know, let the drag work. Fight the fish with the drag. Like use your reel. I mean, I fight my fish at a really low drag setting. I mean, a lot of the good reels, they lock these drags. Like, they want the fish to pull them out, like, with a 13, 20 pound max drag, 28 pound. But I like running my drag loose. So, I mean, I let the fish run a lot more than it should. But in a sense, you save your equipment.
Yeah. If you want a reel to last a long time, it's better to run a looser drag, like or after you set the hook, back the drag off, because you need the tight drag or tighter drag to penetrate with the hook points. But after that initial burst of striper and hybrid, they do this. After the initial burst, back off the drag to kind of save the reel a little bit. You know, thank me later. Your reel will last years more. Otherwise, you'd be. Even the Saltigas, dude. Like, I'm telling you, Saltigas, Certates, $500 reels, they won't last 2 seasons if you lock that sucker down. They won't last. We've tried. We actually tried it. It won't last.
So, what is your biggest hybrid weight and length? Weight or length?
You know, honestly, my biggest hybrid wasn't that big. I think it's probably just like a 24 around there.
Probably bigger than that.
Yeah.
Ooh, guys all put out 26 and a half.
Yeah, I know for sure I didn't catch a 26. It was a 24, 25 inch right there. I released a couple big ones too, so I never officially measured it.
So my biggest one was 28 and a half inches for 11 and a half pounds.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one for
Still waiting for that 30 incher.
Yeah. We know where a couple live too, so we have to go check them out. But yeah, you know, when it comes to personal best, our personal best really, in terms of stripers and hybrids, they're not super impressive because we're not trophy chasers when we're chasing those species. Unlike bass. So you see that one right there? That's a big bass. That's a big bass. That's like 10-pound class bass that we caught during a tournament, so we paid really well and everything. So we have motivation to go chase a bigger fish. But when it comes to hybrid striper, up until maybe this year, we had to have the motivation to chase the trophies. Like, we're just out for bites, right? We harvest a lot, okay? So we want to limit out. We're not looking for 2 bites or 1 bite.
Because a lot of time now when we catch a really big fish, we'll let it go.
Yeah. We used to never do that. We used to be so stoked. Put on a stringer.
Carry it back to the car.
Yeah.
Or show your bragging rights to your dad.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how it was used to be, but it's not like that anymore. You know, it's like we release like 34, 35, 40-inch stripers. It's people are like, you're crazy. You know, like, wow.
Yeah, you gotta get to that point though.
Yeah. Plus, like we said, the bigger the fish, the worse it tastes. It feels like. So you know that certain class of fish that tastes the best. So when you catch a fish in that class, you keep it. Other than that, it's like too small, too big, release it. Unless there's like a big party coming up, then we keep it. But other than that, we tend to release.
Yeah.
Dad gets mad sometimes for releasing.
But you know, for future generations to catch them too. So you gotta release fish.
That's right.
That comes from bass fishing.
That does come from bass fishing. We need to talk about that. Like, probably the topic for Tuesday will be like catch and release is destroying the bass world because there is a lot of negatives about it. And Danny was talking. I was talking to Danny Boyd one time about that too, like how catch and release is like.
It's good and it's bad.
It's good, like on the surface, it's really good, but long term, it's actually really bad. So we'll talk about that on Tuesday. All right, guys. That's hour 40. I think we're calling it good. Yeah. All right, guys. See ya.
See you guys.
Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys share these videos with your friends or tell them to come to the shows next time.